Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unstuck Pod today. Really excited to have Jeanne Hardy here with us as a guest. So, Jeanne, thanks for coming. And please, I'd love you to tell everybody about yourself, about Levvy, and your background. It would be great to go. Great from there.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks, Jamie. Excited to be here. So my background is a little bit unconventional, I think, for where I ended up. I actually started off, I went to art school. So I was like a starving artist. And from that, I started working with other artists that were more successful than me and started working as like a business manager for them. And through that work, I kind of fell in love with working alongside, creators, builders, and helping them build their businesses and really seeing very clearly that there was some huge gaps in the marketplace, in the service marketplace for creatives. It's not as much of there's a lot more creatives in the world, but back then in, the early aughts and the late 90s, creatives, business services, banks, lenders, landlords, people just didn't take those businesses seriously. And now, of course, that's a totally different story. So we have some really successful creative entrepreneurs. And that's how I grew my business, is really working closely with these creative entrepreneurs. And I built Creative Business, very generic name, but to help them. So we do all the back office. So a lot of like bookkeeping, insurance managed. So just think business management, cash flow management. So my role was more of CFO in their worlds. And we kind of holistically supported, their whole operation, including like HR and helping teams. So we grew Creative Business. My firm grew over the last, 15, 16 years to about a 25-person team working with 150 companies. And through that growth, I started to notice a pattern of pain that we were feeling every time we tried to grow. It was like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And I couldn't understand. I couldn't crack the code of like, why is this happening? Why can't we get this right? We're like a hardcore star process team, and we couldn't get it right. So it took me down, I went down some rabbit holes, practice management, productivity tools. We tried a bunch of things, and really what it came down to for us is like the visibility of not having enough visibility across the whole firm, meaning that the kind of visibility that we were looking for was not do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 process. It's more like, how well do you know this client? How well do you know their personality, what they're afraid of, what they worry about the most, like what their goals are? Where is that client knowledge? Where is it, and how are we using it to support our clients? At the same time, who's good at delegating? Who's not good at delegating? Who has too much on their plate and is not speaking up about that? Like, who's about to go underwater, and how can we help support them before that happens? So I needed like advanced data on the operations, as opposed to looking at things like time data and stuff in hindsight. I needed it like real time. So we built Levvy to create that visibility across the team. So I went from, a firm runner to a tech founder in the matter of like 3 years. So here we are now. We've grown, Levvy to support accounting firms and bookkeeping firms around the country and around the world. And we're looking to grow well into this. Now we're kind of moving into our agentic workflow phase, rolling out some more AI tools to help the firms that we work with. So
I
very
love it.
long-winded
No,
answer.
no, no. That was great. Listen, it's a very interesting story. And again, I think, I've heard from people in a lot of different businesses and backgrounds and things. But what's most interesting about what I love about yours is we had this problem. So we needed it. We needed help. And so I built something that would help us. And I knew that if it would help us, it would help others. And that's kind of where, where it goes. All right. So I've got it. So you've been building it. Let me talk first about how different a feel is it between running an agency, if right, running that side versus being, like you said, a tech founder, and what that feels like. Where do those differences articulate some of the differences that you've experienced between the two?
So, I mean, it's not a different mindset necessarily because, being a CEO of a firm and then being a CEO and founder of a tech company, so you're still thinking in terms of vision, culture, like what are we building? Who are we building it for? Why, why are we exist? Why is it important? And really driving those ideas throughout the organization. What the biggest difference is that I know nothing. So when I'm in my firm, I know everything. And that's the problem, right? Like the problem is like, how do I get this out of my head and how do I get it into the hands of my team and try not to be the bottleneck, right? So my team it's different. They're learning. I'm teaching them, I'm mentoring them. They're learning. My managers, came up in the firm and now they're mentoring. On the technology side in Levvy, I'm the one who's learning. And so the team is teaching me, is teaching me. And it's so much more fun. I have to say, to be the student with an incredible
So
group of
hold on.
great
So tell me what kinds of things you feel like you're learning, right? Like you've been in
Okay,
business for a
so
long time. You've been a CEO for a long time.
yeah,
So
so I know how to run a company. I
yeah,
know how to I do, I handle all the finance, I handle all the compliance, everything around, but and like the vision for Levy is mine. I'm the subject matter expert. So I can actually validate the solutions that they're proposing and say, and I can even say like that is a huge problem that we have to solve. Or I could say that's not quite the problem. The problem is more like A, B, and C. And so the team loves that. Like the developers love that I can get into the nuance of and also the hierarchy. Like, let's solve this first because this is going to unlock a lot for our users just because I lived it for so long. I don't know. So what I always said in the beginning with the team is I said, look, I'm going to give you my ideas. I'm going to say, this is what I want. I want to be able to, I want all this information surfaced. I want it real time. I want like Levvy to be smarter than me and be showing me things that I need to see when I need to see them. But if I tell you that I want something, don't just say yes to me because I don't know what order to build this in. I don't want to find out, 6 months from now, like when I'm like, let's get, an email integration going. They're like, oh, we can't do that because we should have done that,
I see.
back in the beginning, right? Like I want you to listen to what I'm saying and hear it as if this person doesn't know anything about building technology.
Technology. Yeah. It's one of the great challenges of, well, I just want to do this and this and this. And then someone goes, okay, but they're not necessarily translating or they're giving you everything back, right? These are builders, right? Everyone's got their skills, right? So it's
Yeah.
a very
And
interesting
I'm the
difference.
boss. And so they're like,
Sure.
don't do
Okay.
that. I
Okay.
want you to tell me that's a
Yeah. Okay.
crazy idea. That's going to take us 1,000 hours. We're going to have to rip everything out and do that. Like, don't just say yes to me.
Yeah, I've done that. I've been in your shoes many times, unfortunately, where I've been told after, it's like, what? What do you mean? Why didn't you tell me that before? Like, what? Anyway. Okay. So, all right. So you're learning the tech side, the technology side of building, like a product. So it's creating a physical, like a physical technology based product is a new and different thing. It's not necessarily, like you said, it's your thing, but you're learning it and figuring it out and the team is delivering it. So where are you now? How do you look at the business now? What's next for the business? Where are you taking it?
So we went to market. So I put my accounting firm on it for 10 months in 2023. And I was like, so also again, this is a thing where as like a not like move fast and break things kind of an approach. It's a platform, and I'm asking firm owners and professional services businesses to move their company over to my platform. So for me, I needed to have something complete. We needed to own the full workflows in order for somebody to ask somebody to do that, right? So we probably kept it in development for longer than most tech founders today would do that, right? So we built this beautiful thing, but we didn't go all the way because we built it so that it was what my firm was using and finding a lot of success and really enjoying. But
Mhm,
we built it to the point where we could still get a lot of feedback on how to finish or build out some of the features.
mhm,
We had some restraint there. So that was in 23. So the end of 23, we decided it was working amazing for us. That was when I was like, let's take it to market. We did a quick beta in 23, and then we went to market in 24. So we're new and we've been growing steadily. Product market fit, that go to market is it's tough. That's a very I'm sure that tech founders would appreciate that. That's a very painful phase for
So
it's
let's talk about that because I think everybody goes through it. So when you describe it as a painful phase, talk us through like, you're there, you're past that. You feel like you're past that now.
Yeah, I
Yeah?
feel like
Or you're
we're past that. I
okay.
don't know how I feel like you're kind of always in this, like, are we getting it right? Are we getting it right for everybody
So
for
in
our
what way? So let's talk
so
about
the go-to-market was, again, it's sort of you're going in with a lot of assumptions and you're talking to your users. So you have a small group of users and you're
yeah.
talking to them and they're kind of shaping like how you're going out to the market and talking to other users. And I think inevitably you feel like that's a building. You feel like you should be like getting some momentum and you should be building some traction there. And what we experienced was like we got like a bunch of users on, we're working with them, and then half of them left, right? And then it was like not a lot of traction, and another burst of people would come on. It was like an emotional roller coaster ride, to be honest. It was like,
Founder life. There you go. Okay.
and then of course when users are leaving and they're like, Jeanne, we really like Levvy, but it's not, we really need it to do blah, blah, blah. Like we didn't have enough for certain people they were missing their old tools. Like there was a tool in their tech stack that we didn't have or we couldn't replace. And so we're learning those painful lessons. Like we made choices to go to market with this feature set, and maybe we didn't get that right, is kind of what it was, right? So really just getting into it with the users and just keeping, kind of being really conscious that it's a small set of users that you're talking to, and they might not have I don't know. For me, it just felt like an emotional roller coaster ride. And I was like, it's over. We're done. To be like, this is great. This is good. We're going, we're going, we're going. And then it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah. I used to refer to it as also staring into the abyss, right? Like all the things that you're like, yes, 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 the roller coaster, and then all of a sudden everything goes wrong, and you're like, oh, it's over, like it's done, and then it comes back.
And
It's
then
like,
you're like, okay, luckily I've been a CEO for a long time. So at least like
yeah,
I understood that I could be devastated and scared out of my wits about what's happening. But that, I had to show up the next day and be like, let's rock and roll, people.
yeah,
Like, let's go. We don't have time. Let's keep moving. What are we going to do next?
yeah,
Let's try this. Let's try that, and just be super positive. Like we're going to turn this corner. We just got to stay on it and, to be expected, of course I'm like crying inside, but, showing up and saying like, all right, this is what happens. Let's keep going.
yeah,
And I'm lucky because the team is just so good and so nimble, and they really kind of embrace the fact that they're also guiding the process too along with me. And so they have best practices from their experience too, and saying, this happened, when I was here, this happened to us. Here's what we tried, or let me call a friend who does some lead gen and let's talk to them about, what we
Okay.
can do. So I felt like it was, yeah, it was one of those times that I'm like, I wish somebody would have told me that this was not going to be like, yeah, it was going to be like,
It's never easy. Okay, and let me make sure I understand, because so for you, there was some product, obviously some product challenge, some go to market challenge. Is that fair? Okay, so you're a bit of both, and you're trying to gain traction, right? You get some go to market, some things work. You get in with product, you get feels like it's working, and then churn. And okay, let's fast forward to now in terms of just how you're looking at those two pieces, right? Because this is an ongoing it never ends. People are like, I have products done. Like, there's no such thing, right? Or go to market's done. There's no such thing. So let's talk about those two and how you're thinking about where you're at right now and what's been going on.
so when we first built Levvy, one of the things that I said to the when we were building the MVP, and this was with a previous, this was like a team that I worked with initially, not my current team. And I said, what, because I knew that like, automation and AI were coming. And I said, automation and AI have to be fantastic for Levvy. It has to be fantastic. Like we have to be like, we cannot wait for it to be here. Even now, our users are not asking for AI features or, I mean, we have the platform's totally it's like fully automated, but we have in our roadmap, we always had, agentic workflows and like these layers. And basically the architecture of Levvy is built for AI. It's like the kind of the ontology of a firm, and all the information's organized in a way that makes it really accessible and powerful when you start to add automation and AI. So
Okay.
is basically our AI features will once a firm is on there, if somebody leaves, our AI practice manager will train the next person. Like that's how deep the knowledge is in terms of
Okay.
the vertical and then also with the firm itself. So it's an amazing, it turns that firm knowledge into like a very valuable asset for the firm. That conversation is so easy to have right now today with firm owners that we're selling to.
Oh,
Even 6 months ago, 8 months, 12 months, they were like, what are you talking, but now they're like, that's where we're headed to. We don't know how to
uh,
get there. So right now we basically had a 12 months of roadmap that we just kind of set aside and went to the 24-month roadmap and
got
just
it.
brought that forward.
Okay.
So it's really exciting. It's
Yeah.
like, you're literally thinking like, do we build that or AI can just do that? AI, well, that's an AI feature. That's an AI, so it's moving a lot faster, which is so exciting. Like this type of development it's really exciting because you can, as before, you're building something and you're testing it and you're testing it and then you give it to your users. At this stage, we're like putting it out there. We're shipping stuff so fast and we're able to iterate like in real time. And it's I mean, it's kind of like magic to be able to work in this way, to be able to build in this way, I think, after 2 years, after building.
So product is going out fast, much faster.
Just idea iteration, like, let's try this,
No, no, for
It's
sure. You can put stuff out in the world way faster. What's that doing for your go to market, for your customer acquisition, churn, like all those pieces that you were talking about? Like, how are the two working together? How is that working better for you like
so
that?
we'll see now, like, now so we're in accounting, we just got through tax season, so it's been a little slow, but now we're, like, launching these so in terms of, like, what the announcements are for this year, I think we've got some big, like, kind of milestone things coming out, so TBD on that.
Okay.
But people are excited. But what we've actually used is we've used, a lot of the vibe coding. We've been like vibe coding with our users and basically creating features with them or kind of demonstrating the feature in like Lovable or in, Cursor and saying like, okay, this is what we're thinking. Does this,
Oh,
Is
so
this
way much
easy?
more fast, rapid prototyping, right? So you can go show,
We
say, what do
literally
you think?
show it, so it's
Yeah, okay.
less
Yeah.
and when we take that prototype and give it to the dev team, there's, like, no back and forth. It's like, "Move this," like, it was always,
Yeah,
like, the
what I
visual thing,
yeah,
that
interesting.
yeah. So now
I
it's
just
like
yeah.
there's nothing gets lost in translation as you're explaining it and reading the PRD, like, it's everyone's visualizing it differently. Our head of product, Li-Ling Yang, she's incredible, and, she just builds these things and takes them through it in, like, 2 days later. It's
You're no, it's
crazy.
amazing. That's
It's
it's
so
exciting when
fun.
you start to see stuff go out like that. It's great. So, okay, so you've gone through, you've obviously been a CEO, you've been the founder, you're CEO, and now you're in the tech world and you're doing this. What advice, if any, would you give to others who are coming from wherever they're coming, and whether they're thinking about this, what should they be, what advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, what I like to tell people is if you have been working in so vertical, deep vertical knowledge. So anybody who's worked in any industry for 10 years or more should start to build some software for that vertical because
Interesting.
I think what's always missing and I think the vertical AI like a technology as a service, what is it? TaaS now, right? Where your professional services, but you're actually gonna have this kind of bench of agents doing the work with you, right? And that without that deep vertical knowledge, the products aren't gonna be that great. They're not gonna be they're only gonna be surface. If you can apply that vertical knowledge to software development today, I feel like with AI and with, with a lot of the agentic AI, you can like move mountains. It's so accessible for people like me who are non-technical to be able to articulate what you think is important and why to a development team. Like the barrier between explaining something to a developer is very minimal now. Whereas, even, 3, 4 years ago, there was a lot of iterations, there was a lot that was kind of had to be revised, but now it just seems so seamless.
So
So I
much fun.
tell people like if you're getting into tech, you know, the the benefit to the world is to get a tool that actually works better. I don't think we need so many general tools anymore. I think we actually need some deep knowledge capture tools that will continue to learn and take on more and more and more. And the vertical I think is is going to be where it's at. Like, real estate development, medical practices. There's the company Jane AI from Vancouver. It's like small medical practices. I heard her speak. And I mean, that's an incredible, like that knowledge given to a small business owner is like world changing, right? To be able to say, here's software to run your small like medical practice or your yoga studio or your, Pilates practice, your therapy practice, and have it be this like end to end solution where you're, from payments to scheduling to analysis to knowledge, client knowledge capture, notes capture, marketing. Like it's pretty powerful.
When you're looking at it like that, it's interesting. It's an interesting perspective, and it's probably where, clearly it's where you're seeing it, you're living it, but where things are going. So where can folks who are listening, watching, how can they find you? How can they follow you? I'll add links into the description
Yeah.
after, but
I'm on LinkedIn. I'd love to, if anybody wants to talk about life as a non-technical founder in technology, you can reach out to me at Jeanne, Jeanne at Levvy.com. Happy to speak with anybody. But yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very accessible on LinkedIn. So I'd love to meet anyone who
well,
wants to
thank
chat.
you, Gene. Appreciate it. And for everybody who's listening, watching, thank you. And until next time, we'll see you then.
Thanks, Jamie.